Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and I was always told I had a voice radio, so today I'm going to be showing you the new Lapras card. Just like the Tapu Bulu, I saw these cards have been leaked on the official Japanese website. I hit up my good friend David Hochmann, and I was like, David, there's a Lapras with an ability. I need to know what this Lapras does. And David Hochmann, being a lovely man, as David Hochmann is, we should all know this by now, sent me a translation of Lapras, and ladies and gentlemen, it is an ability that was worth having an ask about. Now, if we look at the basics, it's got 120 HP, which does kind of suck, because stuff like Zoroark will be able to get a one-hit KO, and that's quite sad, etc. And it's got a weakness to metal here, which is actually kind of annoying with the 120 HP because of Duskmane Necrozma. With Beast Ring, pretty much all of these Ultra Beasts now, you've got to have a good look at. I personally, as you all should know by now, I'm a big fan of Duskmane Necrozma. I played it for a double League Cup recently and got 2 top 4s. And the thing is that for free colourless energy, it does 60 damage, which doubled with weakness is 120. So the weakness to metal, combined with the 120 HP, does mean you're going to be struggling a little bit here, because Duskmane Necrozma will be getting cheeky one-hit KOs, boo, hiss, etc. Good news is, you're a water Pokemon. You have access to Aqua Patch to accelerate energy. And crucially, especially with this being a basic, you have access to Brooklet Hill, which can help you search out those basic water Pokemon and pop them straight onto your bench. But as always, it really is the ability and attack and all that we really need here, and it's good. The ability here says that once during your turn, you may look at the top 2 cards of your deck and put them back in any order, very much like a single Puzzle of Time, although to be clear, Puzzle of Time lets you rearrange the top 3 cards of your deck. This only lets you rearrange the top 2 cards of your deck. So why do I like it so much? It's consistency. It's certainty. It's little tricks. And it's all on a basic Pokemon that can be very, very easily searched out using Brooklet Hill. And that makes a big, big difference, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the obvious simple use here is that you just go, okay, I don't have very much, I want to make sure I'm drawing a good card. If you've already got an energy in hand ready for next turn, you don't need to draw an extra energy next turn. What you want to draw next turn is maybe a supporter. Oh, look, in comes this, and make sure that you can try and do that. The easy, obvious thing here is, like we've been using single Puzzle of Time for a while, the easy, obvious use here is just going, well, you know what, let's just go ahead and manipulate my top deck. That's the easy use here. It is far from the only use, but it is the easiest use here. But there's so much more than this. So let's take a few more examples. Let's look at the Macargo, which is coming out in this set, which I have done a previous video on. I'll pop a link in the description. Macargo says that you can discard the top card of your deck, and if it's a basic energy, attach it to one of your Pokemon in play. Well, with Lapras here, you look at the top 2 cards of your deck, and here's the great thing. If you've got a basic energy, you pop it to the top. If not, and you want to discard one of those cards, you pop it to the top. But if you look and there's 2 cards you do not want to put in the discard pile, you don't use Macargo's ability. But even better than that is probably Rayquaza GX's ability. You see, Rayquaza GX has a great ability whereby you discard the top 3 cards of your deck, and then you attach a basic energy from your discard to Rayquaza. The problem is, it's a blind discard of the top 3 cards of your deck, and that is way too risky. Now, you can only do the top 2 cards of your deck with Lapras, so you're still going to have that 3rd card being a total mystery. But the great thing here is that it's only that 3rd card which is a mystery here, which means you know 2 of the cards that are being discarded with Rayquaza, and it means that you're not going to end up in a bad situation where you're discarding 3 cards you don't want. Now, don't get me wrong, you could still discard 1, but it's not the end of the world, because it is only 1. And these are the kind of things that you can do with Lapras. Want another example? Oranguru. Oranguru is a great card because it allows you to draw until you got 3 cards in hand. But sometimes you have something like a Professor Sycamore, or post-rotation maybe a Zeb Striker. I did a video about that the other day. I'll pop a link to that one in the description. Zeb Striker, you discard your hand and draw 4 cards. And sometimes you've got an option to draw 1 or 2 cards with Oranguru before you discard your entire hand. The problem is, you might end up discarding your entire hand after drawing a really good card that you want. Maybe you use Oranguru for 1, you draw your last Guzma, you cannot afford to discard that last Guzma, so all of a sudden you can't discard your hand using something like Zeb Striker or Professor Sycamore. Well, Lapras allows you to look at the top 1 or 2 cards of your deck and discard, or maybe even manipulate it so you draw a card you want to discard, and then when you play Manectric or use the ability, you're then drawing at least 1 card that you really want. There are so many wonderful things that you can do with this ability of Lapras. I could not possibly list them all in one video. But the fact that it's a basic, so it's 1 card in your deck, and it's easily searched out with Brooklet Hill, I mean, we've all lost games because, we needed a Guzma, and the next card was a Guzma. If I'd been able to draw 1 more card, I would have won that game. Lapras lets you draw that 1 more card. And let's not forget here that we're getting a reprint of Acrobike in the not-too-distant future. Acrobike lets you look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put 1 in your hand and discard 1. Lapras lets you check what 2 cards you're going to see with Acrobike. No longer are you going to draw 2 double colorless energy and be forced to discard 1. You use Lapras, you have a look at Acrobike and what you're going to get from it, and you can go, you know what? That is too rich for my blood. That would be a terrible Acrobike. I'm not going to play it. Now, I've just given you the examples of Makago, Rayquaza, Oranguru, Acrobike, etc., etc. All of these are made better with Lapras. It is great. Now, there is an attack here as well, and the attack is, I'm going to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, it's a little bit straightforward, but it's kind of nice. It does 50 damage for a water and a colorless energy, and then you flip a coin, and if heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is paralyzed. That's right. It is about the most standard attack we've had. I mean, the good news is that unlike something like Froakie, it does a whole bunch of damage. Now, to be fair, doing damage could be an issue because Ace Roller comes in. If the defending Pokemon is damaged, they can use Ace Roller to heal and get around paralysis. If they're not damaged, then they can't use Ace Roller. The thing is, post-rotation, we're losing Float Stone. That means a skateboard is going to see a huge spike in play, meaning people are going to be able to retreat out of paralysis. Then you add in the fact that everybody's playing Guzma at the moment, which is a built-in switch as well as a gusting effect, and you have a card which might never actually see its potential as an attacker. You can still use Victini to give yourself a 75% chance of hitting that heads and getting the paralysis, and you're still doing 50 damage and buying a turn, but I don't think it's quite as good as we might want it to be. Plus, nothing really relevant is weak to water at the moment. As I always say, the best water Pokemon is Ho-Oh, and unfortunately, that's weak to lightning. However, I will say the Makago from Champion Road, that's the one that's basically a reprint of the one from EX Deoxys, that actually does have 90 HP, and a weakness to water, so maybe here you could actually maybe Guzma one of these up and get a one-hit KO using this. It's not a great use, but I suppose technically it's a use. And in terms of the attack cost, we're doing fine. I've already mentioned Aqua Patch. If you're behind on prizes, this is a non-GX for 2 energy, so in comes counter energy. And we've been talking a lot about counter gain lately. If you're behind on prizes, then you can attach this as a tool and your attack cost 1 colorless less. So we've got options here. This is not a difficult attack to get going. Between counter energy, counter gain, and Aqua Patch, you don't really ever need to put a basic energy on here manually. But this isn't played for the attack. The attack might come in handy, especially if you're not playing water Pokemon, but you are playing counter energy. You could work these two together, and that's fine. But I tell you what, it's not about the attack, it's about the ability. I love this ability. And I know that we all play Puzzle of Time, and we really want to play 2 Puzzle of Time together. We don't really want to play one on its own, but we've all played one on its own and got a lot of use out of it. And this is that every single turn for 1 bench space on a Pokemon that can use Brooklet Hill. I'm giving it between 4 and 5 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies. That would be barbaric. It's not a game-breaking every deck card, but there are way too many decks that are going to be playing something like Macargo that are just going to get so much use out of this. I think it's great. But if you disagree with me, great news, there's a comment section. Just remember, I encourage you to go nuts, but I please ask that you follow the cardinal rule to be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves. Until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.